are the names of America's past. Union workman, Red Man, Yankee Girl, but they're names of the present too. Red Horse, Happy Jim, Big Kick. If you haven't seen these packages on your shelves, it's because you haven't visited any good country stores lately, like Hartman's Grocery here in St. Clairsville, Ohio. Red Coon, Rosebud, Bull of the Woods, Days of Work, Brown's Mule, Black Mariah. 360 million packages were sold last year, which is an awful lot of chewing tobacco. And mail pouch. It was the mail pouch barns that got us started thinking about chewing tobacco in the first place. You've seen them if you've been down any country road in the Middle West, standing on a hilltop or a curve, inviting the passerby to chew mail pouch. In Ohio, we came across Harley Warrick renewing that ancient black and gold message and learned from him that he has painted this same injunction in just this same way on 600 barns a year for 22 years, and that there were mail pouch barns for 70 years before he even started. Chew mail pouch. We wondered if anybody still does. So we followed the trail of barns to the Granddaddy mail pouch sign, the one on the side of the factory across the Ohio River in Wheeling, West Virginia. And there, a young Princeton man with a chaw in his jaw, Stuart Block, the chewing tobacco heir, set us straight. Chewing tobacco can't be as big a thing today as it was 50 or 60 years ago, can it?
No, it certainly isn't. Chewing tobacco has been on a very gentle decline of the 2 or 3% for, I would say, 30 years. But surprisingly enough, a lot of young fellows chew today that aren't in the kind of businesses you would expect. Lawyers, doctors. There are enough young people coming in that it has prolonged chewing tobacco to the point where I think it'll be around forever.
Downstairs in Mr. Block's factory, where we expected we might find a few old men filling packages by hand, we found instead high-speed conveyor belts and the din of automation. Chew, it turns out. Probably most coal miners chew. Coal miner Sherman Knox. Well, what's your system for chewing?
How you mean system?
Well, how do you go about it?
Oh, you just more or less get you a handful of it and stick it in your mouth. I guess it becomes a habit after you do it a while. Just take, depends on how big your mouth is and how much you want.
A lot. I don't think I could handle that much.
Well, maybe your mouth isn't as big as mine.
Farmers chew. Farmer Bill Bardall.
I can't go too many places with a pipe or stogie or a cigarette. You can't smoke. I can go anywhere in any building, church, or anywhere else with a chew in my mouth. I enjoy it while I'm there. If you want to start chewing tobacco, you can't beat me.
Well, that's a lot of it there.
That's just an ordinary chew.
Is that right? It looks enormous to me.
No, that's just an ordinary chew.
And even stockbrokers chew. Stockbroker Fred Seeley.
I have a chew in my mouth at the present time. And you wouldn't know that I was chewing. Absolutely. There's no indication that I'm chewing, is there?
Do you have people with coats and ties who chew?
Absolutely. A lot of people, of course, in the industries where we have a lot of business are promoted up through the ranks. And when they get into the office building from the factory, they take their mail pouch with them. There are all kinds of ways that they're real good. They never spit anyway. if they have to spit occasionally, why, the potted palm is sometimes a very handy thing. Some secretaries, I understand, do yeoman service in cleaning out a desk drawer that has a little can in it that nobody knows about but she and her boss.
So it turns out the world is full of overt chewers and secret chewers, plug and scrap and twist chewers. They're all around us. And as we went on our way, those barns on the hillside didn't appear so old-fashioned anymore. And when we stopped for lunch at the Wells Inn in Sistersville, West Virginia, and visited its Victorian front sitting room, something about that sitting room suddenly seemed right up to date. Charles Kuralt, CBS News, on the road in West Virginia.
I can chew and eat a meal or drink without any problem. Of course, I've been chewing for 25 years, so I suppose that helps. It's interesting also as to who chews tobacco. It's easy to think of the farmer and the coal miner, the steel worker, the person who is in a working environment where he can't smoke. But there are many other people in different places. Sales of chewing tobacco have been increasing now for 10 years and have already surpassed the level of sales back in 1956. Our current barn painter is becoming quite famous, as a matter of fact. Harley Warrick is the last of the barn painters. He's been working for us, I would guess, for over a substantial part of the Midwest and some places in the South. And he's a craftsman. I think you would agree if you saw him work that it's amazing how he cuts a sign in and quickly brings it to life. Mail pouch has been sold for something over 90 years, and the coleslaw is a very popular product in West Virginia. And since we are the only chewing tobacco factory in West Virginia, years ago somebody coined the phrase that mail pouch is as good as coleslaw. And from there it was a natural transition into calling it West Virginia coleslaw, and it's known in this tri-state area as West Virginia coleslaw by many people.
You'd be surprised how many different times guys will say, well, I saw you was up around Bradford, Pennsylvania, or you were here, or you were there. As soon as they see a mail pouch sign, that's who they think of. Of course, I didn't paint them all. There's a lot of them that was painted back years ago. At least you've done something. I mean, if you kick the bucket tomorrow, there's something to show that you've been here. You've left something anyway. You created something, yourself. It's carbon copies. I mean, one right after the other, but still, each one is an individual sign. There's no two alike.
Get out awful early, though. Yeah. It's like a bad day now. My sister owns this place. She's got out of bed. She just lives up.
How's your dad today? Is he all right?
Oh, he feels good sometimes. He can't get around too good, because, he's crippled up. He's been that way. Man gets old, though. He's up there. He'll be down in a little while. Okay.
Already knew how to paint signs before I started on this. Before I went to service. And I've done quite a bit while I was in service. We had a sign on our barn there at home, on the farm. Mail pouch sign. Crew come through painting, and I got talking to them. They was needing a helper on one of the crews, so I just went across the road and packed up my bag and went with them, and that was it. It's like, country boys just took off. I always looked at that sign on the barn. I said, boy, I'd like to do that. And, you just kind of wondered who was doing it. I never did find out. Then they come through and painted it. So I started to work with them. As far as this job, it's ideal. I mean, there's nobody telling me when I have to go to work. Oh, they've got they expect you to get out and turn out the schedule. You've got to make a showing or they'd send you down the road. But you can more or less adjust your own schedule. If I want to work here this week and take next week and do something else, I can do it. Then the following week, I'll come back out. So everybody hassles you on it. That's what makes it ideal. You get bit by a dog once in a while, chased by a bull. Just have to learn to live with it. You can get bothered by old women once in a while.
My, oh my, but that looks nice. Are we going to leave a board out over here? It looks like you would consult people before you come around here trying to paint up their place. Yes, I'll tell you this. Really nice. You'd be surprised to know how pretty that shows up. As you're coming down the highway. That's really pretty.
Well, we're not doing as many barns as we used to. It's cut back. We're just picking out the better ones, better showings, and doing them. And then we're getting a lot of request signs anymore. People want them on their own barn or buildings, just for antiques or there's identification. In the old days, you had to go out and hunt to even get a barn. They'd let you put one on. So.
What would something like this bring if we were to give it to the symphony for their auction or something like this?
We gave a sign to the Pittsburgh Education Television Station, and they sold it for auction for $175, something like that. It'd be great. Actually, what we did in that case was give them the right to have a sign painted anywhere they wanted. Have them in some very nice places. Holiday Inn. People are using them for decoration. Yeah, great.
Have you gone from the big barns down to this side all the time?
No, this is the added feature here.
But you see a lot of these sort of this size around, don't you? Like small?
Well, there's not a little barn this size. In fact, I done two yesterday. It was much larger than this.
We're still in the big ones.
Oh, yeah, the bigger.
They in West Virginia?
The small ones, yeah, they were just out of Charleston here in Warrick County, out on 119 East.
How many states have you made these signs in?
There's 9 states right now. Not complete states, parts of.
What is your deal with the farmer on this thing?
We pay him what he requires to get his sign painted. Sometimes it's more than others.
Do you have to then refurbish the signs every few years?
About every 3 to 5 years. It depends on how the exposure is exactly right.
You scout the territory and say that's a good one, that's a bad one.
He knows.
Well, it seems strange to me. I mean, I'm doing the same thing I've been doing for almost 30 years, and then all at once it becomes something interesting. So it's not me that's changed or anything, or I'm not doing anything different. It's just the way the country's changed. It seems like everybody here stays pretty local. A farmer, he's here for the rest of his life. But you get out in your industrial areas like Toledo and through there, and doctors and lawyers and everybody else owns a whole string of farms. You may have trouble chasing him down because he may own a farm in Toledo and live in Cincinnati.
it's a big business farming now. See, well, people used to think of a farmer as a hayseed, you know, going out the straw in his mouth, you know. These farmers in Indiana now has got about 2 or 3 degrees in agriculture and animal husbandry and this, that, and the other. They're all college graduates, and they farm 2,000 and 3,000 acres. They're just as easy to deal with as everybody else, but you'll have trouble tracing down who owns what property. Actually, myself, I never saw a stranger in my life. You know, if I walk in a place, I'll talk to somebody. If they want to talk, if they don't, then I'll just cut it off. But you have to like people. You got to understand, you know, they've got problems same as anybody else. You go in, I went in a lot of farmers' place, and he chewed me up one side and down the other, and I had never said 2 words yet. So I figured, well, I'm the first guy he's run into. He's had a falling out with his wife or something, you know, and I'm the whipping boy. So you just stand there and let him get it out of his system, and then say, okay, now that you got that over with, I'll tell you what I'm here for. Things go along all right then.
The best way this could be used probably would be to somebody who has a interior decoration idea in a bar or in a rec room.
What is the most number of signs that you've done in one day?
Well, by myself, 4, I think, is about the limit on repaints. Now, new, it takes a little longer on those. Most I ever done with a crew when I had a helper with me. Done, I think it was 9 in one day. That's, you know, not really a large, but still you get the same amount of letters on small orders. It's always more or less feed work. Here I have to drag it out.
When people get a little closer, he has to be a little more careful when you're going by a barn. That's
Control the slot in the cycle.
You know, since you told me that, I've looked at them a lot more closely, and they still, you can't see any yet.
No, but we always said within 2 inches are perfect. That would probably be the future sign painter right there. If I stay on it long enough, he'll probably be the one that takes it over. So. He's pretty good with a pencil and a brush. So. Got another son, he's 17, but he just don't quite care for it. He wants to be a mechanic, motorcycle mechanic.
If it'd be some young guy come down the road tomorrow, if I was working on a sign, and that guy stopped and he convinced me that he was serious about learning the trade, I'd let him go work with me. But I'm not going to go ask somebody to go to work. If he's not interested enough to come out and say, well, you know, I would like to learn that. How about showing me? Well, I'd show it. But yet that hadn't happened.